you feel amazing. You obviously are strong, you're mobile, and you're fit to a reasonable degree. So you never feel like you're lagging in a certain area or there's room for opportunity. And then the other thing is that the training that you do always feels really interesting. One thing I'm feeling is really interesting at the moment in the health and fitness world is the idea of the hybrid athlete. Maybe that's the sexy, polished way that we describe it. And what we mean by a hybrid athlete maybe is not just being focused on one discipline, but actually being good within multiple disciplines. So being strong, being fit, being mobile, having some skills maybe, or having a broad range of modalities in a sense. And I think it's really interesting that this has become really popular and we're seeing it everywhere. Lots of guys and influencers around the world spreading this message of not just to be strong, not just to be fit, but actually to do both at the same time. And I think we've spent a long time where there's been this almost dogma around certain ways of doing things, whether it's just being a bodybuilder, just going out and doing cardio. And I think we're entering this world where both is okay and both is actually revered. And I believe that to be a very, very positive thing. And it's definitely something that I am practicing myself. I'm very interested in. It's been something I've been interested in for a long time, but maybe haven't quite done it to the level that I am today. But it's kind of strange that we've been in this period for such a long time where there has been, I guess, like a one my way or the highway kind of approach to all of this, and a way of doing it which is, I guess, pigeonholing yourself. So I am a bodybuilder, so I lift weights 5 times a week doing this split. Or I'm a runner, so I go and run 5 days a week. And not really understanding that doing both of these things is actually hugely, hugely beneficial. And you can kind of, from my opinion, if we're talking pure aesthetics and also functionality, the physique and capabilities that you build from a hybrid training approach, in my opinion, far outweigh the benefits of being dialed into one specific discipline. Now, obviously, there's nuance to this. If you have a very specific goal in the sense of that you want to be the best bodybuilder in the world, or you want to be the best runner in the world, then obviously leaning your bias heavily towards a certain modality is going to be of interest to you. But for most people that are just trying to be the strongest, fittest, healthiest, most confident, most energetic version of themselves, having a hybrid approach to your training, I believe, will be the most beneficial way of doing things. And I think that's why it's become so popular, because the health that you can create and the level of fitness and energy and vitality that you can create from a hybrid approach seems and appears to be much more significant than a pigeonholed approach. So on one hand, maybe you have the cardio guys who don't have the best body composition. Yeah, they can go out and cycle for 3 hours, but they don't have much muscle mass. They're not very strong. Maybe like a very carb heavy diet, and they don't necessarily look that great in their bodies. And then on the other hand, you obviously have the heavily muscled guys who spend a lot of time in the gym, but they lose breath going up the stairs. Obviously, they are the most extreme examples. And then we have the hybrid guys in the middle, which know how to lift, throw a few weights around or do some cool body weight stuff. They can touch their toes. They can go out there and run a 10K like it's no big deal. And I think being this jack of all trades is kind of what's most desirable right now. And that's why this rise of hybrid fitness is becoming so popular. And in a way, you kind of saw it in things like CrossFit and High Rocks as well, where it's kind of this blend of different disciplines. I'm not 100% sure that the intent, say with CrossFit, wasn't, actually maybe it was. I guess the whole point of CrossFit was like being the ultimate athlete, and that's a rounded thing. Those guys are obviously elite at everything in a way, but yeah, okay, so maybe CrossFit is partly to, you know, attributed to the rise of this, but I think the way that we're seeing it now is in a much more, it's not under that name of CrossFit, and it's a bit more, how can we say it, like more placated in a way, I guess, in the sense of you don't have to do these crazy intense workouts where everything's at once and you're doing Olympic lifts and then going on the assault bike and killing yourself. It's maybe more, I strength train 3 times a week and I go for 2 runs a week, and then I do some mobility or I do a bit of yoga. So it's a bit more of a balanced real life approach than maybe the intensity of the CrossFit approach. And one of the things that I've noticed from taking this kind of approach is that you feel amazing. You obviously are strong, you're mobile, and you're fit to a reasonable degree. So you never feel like you're lagging in a certain area or there's room for opportunity. And then the other thing is that the training that you do always feels really interesting because there's so much variation throughout the week. And I think one of the things that people struggle with, I mean, in this sense, we're obviously talking about either mainly strength training or mainly cardio. I think people do really struggle with boredom. They struggle with the monotony of, oh, I've got to do another hour-long run like I just did the other day. And they struggle with the monotony of, oh, I've got to do this workout again, like the same reps, the same sets, the same exercises. I believe people struggle with that monotony. And when you do a hybrid approach, it means that things are changing throughout the week, but you're still getting the repetition of each modality that you need in order to get the best possible results. Because whether we like it or not, the best results do come from repetition of similar activities. I would argue that's true for both strength training and for cardiovascular training. So when you have this system that makes you feel it's a holistic approach, so you're approaching all the different areas of what we would call fitness, I would consider those on a very broad level: cardio, mobility, and strength. And then another one that we could also add in is almost like skill-based, and that could be things like handstands or like gymnastic skills. It could be a sport. It could also be something like a martial art, which is becoming very, very popular as well. And I think that has to be part of the conversation of this hybrid approach as well. For me, the skill part is the bit probably that falls to the wayside the most in terms of having the time to do it. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing in the grand scheme of things. So if you are thinking about, or you've been interested in, or you've just been seeing a lot of people mentioning the word sort of hybrid training, or you're obviously aware of like CrossFit or High Rocks or anything like that, it's a very interesting and exciting time when it comes to fitness, because I believe that having a rounded approach like this will produce the healthiest, happiest humans, just to put it, to give it a very straight up statement. And the exciting thing about that is that if we can get more people into this rounded approach, then we're just going to have better performing people on the planet all around, which is very, very exciting, and longer living and higher quality of life as well. So I'm just going to go and train now. After I train, I'm going to walk you through the system that I'm using at the moment, which is a hybrid system. It combines the system that we use with all of our clients, or, you know, the framework at least that we use with our clients, combined with a very popular 3-stage cardiovascular approach. And I'm going to run you through it. And yeah, if you have any questions after that, then you can drop them in the comments.